the cards, you can actually just give enough heat to where you can rub these roses right in the center, and you can actually remove one and place it just right up. What is up, folks? Daniel Schneider is the designer of Black Rose playing cards, and so we all know and love these cards. I know that I do, and I know a lot of other people do as well. But here's the thing, why? What makes these cards so special? What makes them so important? And what makes them an essential for the card worker? Well, first of all, let's just take the most iconic of the bunch, and this is the cheapest as well. You could pick these up at Black Rose's playing cards for 10 euros, I believe, right now, and a lot of times Daniel does discounts and stuff like that where you can get them a lot cheaper. But this is what they look like. Very familiar to a deck of bikes, right? And it still features, you know, ornate design, eloquent, ornate, detailed design. It's got those beautiful, iconic roses right dead in the center, as well as the four corners has some roses. Then you have some vines going around. Just beautiful pen work. He is a great artist, great designer, and I love these little hearts at the top and bottom and diamonds on either side. It's just a really cool deck of cards. By the way, playingcarddex.com has these right now in what they call their bargain bin for $5.50 a deck. Who else has these? Cardify, not Cardify. There's another place that has these. I think it is Cardify. I could be wrong. For like $5.99. I'm just saying you can get these cards for relatively cheap, and they're so much better than bikes. Let's just open them real quick. They feel like bikes. And I don't mean that they feel like bikes in your hand, but they look like bikes. They have that familiar look to them, but they're very distinct. So even though they feel, just by looking at them, they create this feeling of familiarity, of calmness, right? Of just class. And special thin stock on this too. These are very thin cards. Daniel has spared no expense in creating these cards. They're also traditionally cut, by the way, which is a huge bonus for all of us table workers. They just handle really, really well. Now, these cards are mainly thin, and almost every deck you see here is really thin. So, if thin cards are not your style, and let me just say, I'm saying thin, but they're not as thin as, say, the Ventus by Lotus and Hands. Like, those are the softest, thinnest cards ever, and they're so soft it's just almost impossible to do certain things with them. They're not as thin as the Ramsey V2s, which are exceptionally thin, but they are very thin. I think they're just crushed. Some of the other decks are double crushed. That means the sheets are rolled through not once, but twice. So I'm pretty sure these are just rolled through once, being that they are a crushed stock. But they just feel great in your hands, and for that price, guys, you just can't beat it. And he has taken the time to redraw all the court cards. Now, this is a standard one here, but what Daniel Schneider has done is taken the time and spent 3 to 4 hours on every single court card and redrew all of the lines, all of the little inconsistencies of what we are familiar with, the standard court cards. And he's also custom made some court cards of his own as well. And so in every deck, like that right there, I believe is Bill Kalush of Expert Playing Card Company, I think, and I could be wrong. I'm not sure who this is. Some of these people are backers of his early Kickstarter projects. That right there is Daniel Schneider himself. And so someone who has taken the time to just intricately, add all these details, remove all of the inconsistencies, is just someone who's dedicated to their work, to their art, and I respect Daniel for that. Look at that Ace of Spades. That is just a beautiful Ace of Spades right there. But we're going to talk about, if you're going to pick up a deck of these, which deck, for one, is my favorite, what is my go-to Black Roses cards, and which one might be right for you. I mentioned that most of these are thin, but that doesn't have to turn you off because there is a couple thicker options out there, and we'll talk about them. Any of these ones you see right here, guys, is going to be really, really thin. Every single one has that back design. This is actually a double backer that is included with the, this is the Alterosa, Black Roses Alterosa playing cards, and that's a really cool double backer. You could obviously do some really cool tricks with that. But all of these are going to have the same back design, but different coloring. Sorry about the glare on that, guys. There we go. But these ones right here, man, these are beauties right there. And then you got the Immergren. I think I'm saying that right. Check out these. These are gorgeous. Look at the green on that. And they're so thin, but not so thin to where you're not going to be able to, you know, manipulate a double, do some card stills, card controls. It's just going to handle really, really well. And actually lend to certain card slides as well. And then, of course, we have the Black Roses. This is one of my favorites here as well. You can find these on playing card decks. Right now, they're sold out, I think, almost everywhere else. Very hard deck. These decks are becoming harder and harder to get a hold of. So pick them up while you can. And these, like I said, are on sale almost everywhere. There's a ton of these, and that's a good thing. I have a few decks myself because they're just that good. These are all of your thin ones right here. So if you're into thin crush stock, those are the ones for you. This is the tabled offering from Schneider and Black Roses playing cards. This is the Polyantha. And this is a borderless deck for all the table workers out there. And it's going to have a full bleed borderless back design. And also, it's marked. You think, where could the markings be at on this? Well, it took me forever to find these. And I actually didn't find them. It took me forever looking and looking. And I messaged Dave from Magic Orthodoxy because he reviewed them. And he said, hey, these are marked. I've spent so much time trying to find the marking system. Couldn't figure it out. I said, Dave, what are you talking about? Where are they at? He said, go ahead and give Schneider a message. So I messaged Daniel Schneider, and he sent me a PDF file which explained exactly where the marking is on these cards. And I know for a fact you will not be able to see just because they're that well hidden. But even though they're that well hidden, guess what? They're very easy to read once you know what you're looking for. And so this is the tabled offering, a good tabled deck, Polyantha by Daniel Schneider of Black Rose playing cards. They are traditionally cut as well. Every deck he produces is going to be traditionally cut. That means you're going to be able to execute a table pharaoh just like that, right there. So that's a table deck. Now let's check out. I'm not going to say much about these ones. This is the Innocence deck. It is a very nice cards. It's a little thicker. There are some things that are very unique and interesting on this deck as well. But the ones that I'm going to reach for myself and the ones that I handle almost every day are these ones right here. Or these ones. And what's weird about these are the hotels. These are the casinos. I've already reviewed these. I'm not going to review them again, but these are going to be a little bit thinner for some reason. I'm not sure why, but these are thicker. And there's only 1,000 of these, and there's still a couple left, guys. For 15 euros, there's only 1,000 of these, and each one comes with a little tax seal, tax stamp, whatever you call it, tuck seal that is numbered. And so I was able to pick up a couple of them. But there's also about 90 of these decks that don't feature the tax seal or the stamp right here. About less than 100 feature this little stamp. And if you go to Black Rose Playing Cards, Daniel Schneider explains why that is. And it's basically in their production over at USPCC. They get down to the last little bit, and for whatever reason, about 90 decks don't get that little sticker. It's weird, but what that does is make them exceptionally rare and especially desirable among collectors. And so I've been blessed to be able to have a couple of these without this little sticker on them. So that's actually really cool. So go pick these up while they're still around, guys. And these are thicker. That's why I like these. It's not because they're newer. It's because they're a little bit thicker. Because the type of card work that I do and the type of stuff that I'm trying to accomplish, I need cards that are just a little bit more sturdy and durable for what it is that I'm trying to do, right? So this is what works for me. Now, I use all of these decks, and I, week in and week out, I rotate different card decks into my my little card practice and card handling. But these are the ones that I'm almost using all the time of recent, and will continue to do so just because of the simple fact that they are thicker, but it's just such a simplistic design. And let's just talk about this awesome border, medium-sized border, medium to large size border. But what makes that border special is that little thin white strip going all the way around in between the black border. So it's almost just like a frame right there, and it's just so beautiful. And obviously, you got the two roses just floating in a sea of nothingness, a sea of black. It's just a beautiful deck of cards. These are not marked, to my knowledge. Pretty sure they're not marked. But man, you pull these out, you come into the place and a spectator says, hey, we show me a card trick, and you set down these cards immediately. What this says is class, simplicity, elegance, non-threatening. There's no ornate. I mean, in its simplicity, it's very ornate and special, but it doesn't have the detailed, ornate intricacies of the other, black roses. And even those are very non-threatening as well, because they have the familiar look that's iconic of Bicycle. And so it just has that sense of ease that comes over the spectator and yourself whenever you pull these cards out. And guys, maybe I'm getting into a little bit too much theory about these cards, but this kind of stuff is what really, this type of stuff I'm passionate about. These are so beautiful. They almost give off that knock vibe, but very different than knocks, obviously, because of the roses and just the detail that Daniel puts into these. And check out that Ace of Spades, by the way. Isn't that a banger? That is so minimalistic, simple beauty and eloquence in a card right there, my friends. And if you haven't seen the Jokers yet, my goodness, I am a Joker enthusiast, and we all know, well, some of us know that I filmed Jokers. I photographed Jokers on my Instagram page, different Jokers from different decks, and this one right here is so beautiful. Compliments of, what's it say, West Munich, Germany? Much West Germany. Huh. Very cool, though. Very cool. Look at the font on that old vintage style 70s, early 80s-esque font. Very beautiful. These cards are the ones that I'm going to grab day in and day out. If I'm just practicing, if I'm performing, if I'm showing someone a card trick, this is what I'm going to use, guys, because they handle absolutely phenomenal. There's still some left, guys. Please get these while you can. And let me just go ahead and say, if you haven't watched Daniel Madison's new video, I would encourage you to go watch it right now, because Daniel Madison has just announced a partnership between him and Daniel Schneider, where they're releasing a new playing card, new playing cards called the Remedies. It has the iconic black rose featured just there, and it has Charlie Madison's feather going opposite. And it's a beautiful deck of cards, very reminiscent of the Rounders in a way. And there's just a lot of fun things going on with that deck, and they're selling them right now, and it's open to the public. And Daniel Madison doesn't just release his cards, especially his newest ones, to the public. They're reserved for an inner circle of people. But these ones, my friends, these remedies, collaboration with him and Daniel Schneider, are being released to everyone, to the public. Guys, run over. They're only $13, 13 euros a deck. And then they also have a private reserve deck that I think is 50 some euros. But anyway, 13 euros a deck, that's not bad. These decks are going to, they may already be sold out. I don't know. But run over there, check out Daniel Madison's video, and listen to him and what he has to say about his partnership. It's history in the making, guys. I'm happy to be a part of it. Happy to be able to invest in this new offering from Daniel Schneider and Daniel Madison. I'm very thrilled. At the end of the day, Black Roses playing cards. They're the ones you're going to want to grab. Thanks for watching, guys. Jorge Anito signing off. And remember, roses are black.